thank you guys so much for being here for the Family Friends of Scouting Presenter Training. Before we dive into our training today, I want to do a quick little experiment. So most people who know me know that I love science, anything related to science. But I need a volunteer for this experiment. Oh, Charity. Okay, Charity. Come on up. You gonna help me out today?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, what are you thinking?
I think we need to superpower this up.
Superpower this up?
Okay.
What do y'all think?
Yeah. Sure.
Let's superpower it up. Come on! Yeah! So it's no longer Charity. This is Wonder Woman. All right, so Wonder Woman, you're going to help me with the experiment today. Fabulous. Okay. So, you all, and if you haven't noticed, my superhero character, I am a scientist with a little flair for the drama, all right? So, today I want to share with you all an experiment called Elephant's Toothpaste. Have y'all heard of that before?
Elephant?
Elephant's Toothpaste. Yeah, Elephant's Toothpaste. So it's a really fun one that I normally do with some of the kids at my son's pre-K class. And so it basically involves taking hydrogen peroxide. You guys know we use that, like if you have a little spray to disinfect it. A lot of the hospitals now use it instead of bleach as a bleach alternative. So it's a fabulous disinfectant. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in here. And so hydrogen peroxide, one of the cool things about it, it breaks down or decomposes into water and oxygen gas. But it's a super, super, super slow reaction. Because if you think about the hydrogen peroxide you buy at the store, the little 3%, I mean, it takes forever for it to decompose. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to add a catalyst. Y'all know what a catalyst is? Okay, so a catalyst is a chemical that speeds up the rate of the reaction. So essentially what that does is it's going to make this decomposition reaction happen much quicker than it would happen on its own. All right, and of course, you know, we like the dramatic flair, so I'm going to put some food coloring in there on the sides. And then we're going to add in our magic catalyst. The catalyst we're going to use today is activated yeast. You guys baked with yeast, the rapid rise. All right, so Wonder Woman, I need your superhero flair today. So I'm going to ask you, y'all ready for this? To very quickly, safety first, y'all, because I'm in there, you know. Oh, well, we might not be able to do that. All right, very quickly, pour that into the flask, and we're gonna see what happens. Super quick, y'all. All right, okay, it's doing something in there. This is your Elephant's Toothpaste. So we add the, thank you, yes! All right, so we have to simmer it down a little bit because we want to be safe, but the cool thing about this is the oxygen gas gets trapped into the Dawn dish detergent, and so that's what creates all of the foam. If you use a stronger solution of hydrogen peroxide, you can really get a big reaction. And it's pretty safe because if it goes to completion, this should just be nothing but water and oxygen gas, which is nothing, right? All right, so what we did, we added a tiny bit of the right ingredients, and suddenly we created something huge, subjectively, and impossible to ignore. And so that's what you all are, my friends. Y'all are the catalyst, okay? You put in small amounts of time, energy, and heart into these presentations, and the impact explodes across our council. So thank you so much for your time, for being here today to help create that impact across Atlanta Area Council. So this is Elephant's Toothpaste, very similar to Scouting, and that's the power that you all help unleash. All right, so to kick started, this is you all. Y'all are the catalysts in this reaction. All right, every superhero needs a mission. So what is our mission? Who knows what the campaign theme is for 2026 Friends of Scouting? You guys know?
Something about superheroes.
Something. Yes, Super Friends of Scouting. Heroes Unite. So we are all superheroes, and our donors are superheroes as well. And so that's what we want everybody to realize. Every contribution, no matter how big, how small, creates an impact. It creates these ripple effects across our council. And not just our council, y'all, because we're training like the next generation of leaders. And these are leaders that are gonna be set in foundations of the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, right? So they may not live in Atlanta all their life, they're gonna go out into the world, and these are going to be, they're gonna make, these huge impacts across the country. So our mission is to try to raise money for our annual Family Friends of Scouting campaign. Why is that important? It's important because if you look at this dollar sign, that's shaded in red, 25% of our operating budget for Atlanta Area Council comes from Friends of Scouting. So it comes from the donations that you all help to provide for the district. So where does that money go? That's like the question we always hear. There are some donors that are still like, well, I know about Friends of Scouting, but I still don't know where those funds go. So here's why it matters. So on a much broader level, thinking about Atlanta Area Council, we have 3 beautiful camps here that many of our troops and our PACs and our crew camp in. They complete different merit badges at. There's so many council activities. So Woodruff, we have Allatoona Aquatic Space, and we have Burt Adams. And so the maintenance of those camps, a lot of that comes from the Friends of Scouting. Then, of course, volunteers like y'all. The training that we take, that leader training comes from Friends of Scouting funds. And think about it, every scout deserves a trained leader, right? The more trained leaders that we have, the better and more stellar our scouting programs are gonna be, and the more lives that we're gonna impact for our youth. Also, affordable scouting for all. So we've all probably heard of Scout Reach and the Scout Reach program. And so those are units that are primarily funded by council, but it hits much closer to home. So there are some of our own units where there may be a family with a scout that could really benefit from the program, but their parents can't afford it. So that's where the unit leader goes and talks to the district executive and says, hey, I've got a family here, they need some support. And the funds to help that family so that scout can participate in the program comes from Friends of Scouting. So it hits our units close to home as well. It's not just for the big facilities upkeep, for the training, the resources. It's also for the scouts that may be in your own unit or in your neighboring unit. So just keep that in mind. And another thing I'm gonna mention, when you're doing your Friends of Scouting presentations, it's really important to know who your audience is. And knowing your audience is gonna help you to really kind of focus how these funds impact the community, the units, and the district. You may have a unit that's like, we don't really care about Atlanta Area Council, we just care about our unit at home. How is this gonna help us? And so that way you can tailor your presentation to that. You may have a unit that's like, we're fine. We wanna know how our money is gonna help the community, help the council, help scouts who normally would not have had an opportunity to participate in scouting, to have access to that. So that's where your unit coordinators will come into play, and we'll talk about that in a moment. All right, so now let's switch over to the power of storytelling. So you all know a lot of the, when you do your Family Friends of Scouting presentation, you were selected, you volunteered or were voluntold because you have a story. You were impacted by scouting, and that is so, so powerful. There are so many nonprofit organizations where people can donate their money, right? But when you have a story, it hits close to home. So I think about something like, if you were at home and you open your front door, and there's a little 6-year-old child standing there, and they're cold, they're freezing, they're frail, they're crying, and they're like, I need help. So what would most of us typically do? We're gonna take that child in, we're gonna feed them, we're gonna, call, get them some support and resources. If we don't have the money to do it, we're gonna reach out to our family and friends like, hey, I've got this child here, can you help? Or you're gonna you're gonna find the help for them, right? That's a story versus us coming up and saying, okay, in the United States, there are, so many millions of children that are homeless, that go without eating. Those statistics, yeah, they matter. But putting a face to that story, that's what hits at your heartstrings and really makes you want to say, okay, what can I do to help? Take all my money. Okay, so the first thing you need to do in storytelling, build trust through emotional connection. So when you're going into the units, how do you think you can build trust? When you're going to do your Family Friends of Scouting presentation? Well, hopefully it's a unit that you're connected with already and you've already built that trust. The goal is to have every Family Friends of Scouting presenter be from their own unit and they're doing the presentation to their unit. If not, you connect with them by sharing who you are and how you are related to Atlanta Area Council. Them knowing like, hey, I'm a Scout volunteer. I have a child that went through the Cub Scout program. I have a daughter in the troop. That creates that trust because it's not like this random person coming in and asking for money. It's somebody who is engaged actively in the council, in the program, and who has benefited from it and been impacted by it. Then you're going to tell your story. That story is also going to help to build that trust and create that emotional connection. So once you tell your story, that's important, but then you also want to connect it to the larger mission. So yes, Scouting has benefited your child. You've seen the transformation. What does that have to do with Scouting America, with Atlanta Area Council? What is our mission as Scouting America? What's our vision? It's all about developing leaders, right? And making sure that every youth who is eligible, can transition and transform into this leader that is guided by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. So connect your personal story to that larger mission. And then lastly, offer an empowered invitation to join. So yeah, it's great they hear your story, but they're like, okay, so what? What can I do about it? And that's where you make that unapologetic ask. It takes $375 to above and beyond, what Atlanta Area Council, above and beyond the fees that they pay to National, in order to provide a program for a scout. Would you be willing to support one scout in your pledge? All right, so it's kind of like a funnel when we think about it. We start out by telling our story, we tailor it down, we talk about the larger mission, and then we personalize it and tell them how can you help specifically. All right, so let's talk about how to deliver an impactful Family Friends of Scouting presentation, because this is what it's all about, right? There are 4 things we're going to go through. We're going to go through the guidebook, which is fabulous. The development team has put together a really amazing resource that has scripts in it. Everything you can think of. So all you have to do is personalize it and tailor it to your own situation. But I want you to keep in mind these 4 ingredients for a Family Friends of Scouting presentation. Heart. Your personal scouting story is what matters the most. Think about this. If you were you want to find a new restaurant, what would you do to go see, okay, what is, the best new restaurant that's out right now? You might Google, right? And you might look at reviews of restaurants. That's one thing. But what do most people do nowadays when they want to find a good restaurant to eat at? What do you think? What do y'all do? Yeah, ask a friend. Yeah, you ask a friend, like, hey, what's a good restaurant you've eaten at? Or you read the reviews. We can look and see, yeah, this is a 5-star Italian restaurant, it's the best in the city. But let me see what the people who went there recently had to say about it. So that's the best way for us to kind of own and get information. It's through people who have experienced experienced it. And so that's where you all and your story comes in. Scouting America has a fabulous mission, has an amazing program. Atlantic Area Council does a fantastic job of implementing that. But us as volunteers, the parents of the scouts who have benefited from the program, their voice is going to speak much louder and it's going to be much more impactful. All right, so tell your story, be authentic in it, and really try to make those heart connections, because that's what it's about. It's about connecting with the families that are in the units that you're presenting at. The second ingredient is clarity, and this is what we talked about in terms of where the Friends of Scouting dollars go, because that's a big topic for some people. And so you really want to tailor it to the unit. Know what is important to that unit, and then you can say, hey, you all, if there's a scout in your community that wants to participate in the program and their family cannot afford it, we can provide support to them, financial support, getting them uniforms, and that comes from Friends of Scouting. That comes from you all's donations and your generosity. So bring it close to home, but keep it simple. We always hear about Friends of Scouting. We always hear about the beautiful camps, Woodruff, and some of the families are like, I've never even been to Woodruff. Like, why would I contribute money? So you have to tailor it and bring it close to home. All right, the third ingredient is confidence. All right, so the confidence is not in telling your story, because y'all are, I'm sure, masterful storytellers. The confidence is in the ask, because nobody, not many people, except for fundraisers, like asking for money, right? So you have to give a very clear, unapologetic ask. You can't go up there and say, y'all know, I'm so sorry, I gotta ask y'all for money, I'm so sorry, or hide your wallets, y'all, hide your checkbooks. No, this is how much it costs to support Scouting. Can I count on you to help? In whatever manner that looks like for them. If they're able, financially to support one scout, great, $375. 2 scouts, $750. They can support 3 or 4, $1,500. Fabulous. One thing to remember is that this is a pledge. This campaign is not like a one-time gift at the presentation I have to give you. If I say I'm going to pledge $300, I have to give it to you right then and there. It's a pledge that they can fulfill through December 31st of 2026. So that makes it a little less burdensome. Because if you're asking someone for $375, when you break it down to, this is about $30 a month for 12 months, that's much more attainable than somebody saying, I've got to come up with $375 right now. We're talking about $1,500 a year, or $1,500 for their pledge. That's $125 a month for 12 months. That may be reasonable for some families. All right, and then the fourth ingredient, y'all, this is so important, the pregnant pause. It is that moment of awkwardness, the uncomfortableness, but it is so important. And that is one of the most critical things I want to share with you all today. After you make the ask, you want to literally take 2 minutes in silence and give every single person in the room an opportunity to complete their pledge card. Even if they are not able to financially provide anything at that time, that's okay. Still ask them to fill out the pledge card. Put their information there. They can put 0 for their pledge and turn it in, and they can still get a magnet. Because we are still aiming for 100% participation from all of our families for the campaign. And so you just stand there and wait. And you can fill out your card, do a big fill of your card as you wait. It's important, when you go to PAX, one of the staff brought this up a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that is so true. When you go to PAX, Cub Masters, they don't like silence, right? They can't sit in silence. So during that pause, they may get up there and be like, okay, well, thank you, or they may do some quick announcements. They may say something to fill the space, that empty space. So it would probably be a great idea to let the Cub Master, the unit leaders know ahead of time, hey y'all, during this presentation, we're gonna do a 2-minute pause, and it's intentional that we're gonna have this silence to give people time to fill out their pledge cards. And that way they're aware and you just have that moment. And so you give people the time to complete the card before they're like, well, let me go home and think about this. And it's a pledge. They have until December of 2026. All right, and the silence will work for itself. Okay, let's go through a model Family Friends of Scouting presentation. Are y'all ready for it? Before we get started, how many of you guys have actually done a presentation before, a Family Friends of Scouting? Okay, this is fabulous. So I'm gonna lean on you guys after I do this model too, to critique and to share, even share your experience. If you found like this has worked for me, this is something you need to consider, to share with some of our volunteers who have not presented before. Okay?
Hey, good evening, families. I'm pleased to introduce to you our Friends of Scouting presenter, Ms. Alicia Etheridge. She is a parent and works with Troop 2115, where her daughter Zoe is part of the program. And she's going to talk to you about Friends of Scouting and what it's all about. So listen up, and here she is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much for the time today. My name is Alicia Etheridge, and as Charity mentioned, I am a volunteer with Atlanta Area Council, but I also have a daughter who is a scout in Troop 2115, and I have an older son, Caleb, who went through the Cub Scout program, although he's not in scouting at the moment, and I have a 4-year-old who will be joining Cub Scouts next year. So today I want to tell you a little bit about how scouting has impacted my own life and my own family. So my oldest son, Caleb, when he was a Tiger in 1st grade, we put him in Cub Scouts. He enjoyed it, every moment of it. My daughter Zoe, she's 4 years younger than Caleb, so she tagged along every camping trip, every activity. Zoe was there. So when the summer before her kindergarten year, she was like, Mom, I want to join Scouts. And so at that time, girls were still kind of new in the Scouting America program. So I told her, okay, well, you can do it, but I'm going to be your leader. And so she was like, okay, deal. So I didn't grow up in Scouts, didn't know much about it. But I dove in head first, took all the trainings, I got my uniform, prepped all the craft activities, did all of the things. But nothing could have prepared me for Jason. I'm not going to use real names for this. All right, so Jason, he was a brilliant, curious kid who just happened to be on the autism spectrum. And so he could be very unpredictable, talking nonstop. We're in the middle of a game, he just up and just disappears. Or insisted every game that we played followed his rules, not rules of the game, but his rules. So there were some afternoons after our den meeting that I would sit in my car and I would say, I wonder if scouting is right for Jason, because some of the things were disruptive to the other Cub Scouts in the den. And so there was one meeting early on where Jason refused to participate in a teamwork challenge. And so he stood at the finish line and he yelled at everybody, "That's not right, you're wrong, that's not the way to do it." And so it took everything in me as a parent to not just laugh my head off, but then as a leader, it took everything in me not to lose my patience with him. And so what I learned was that progress for Jason was not something that was going to happen overnight. It was going to come inch by inch, meeting by meeting, year after year. And so 6 years later, I was still his den leader, from Lion to AOL, Arrow of Light. I watched him slowly transform. So he went from being the boy who couldn't stay in his seat to being the scout who led the games. He went from being the kid that interrupted every single conversation to being the kid that was tying the younger cubs' neckerchiefs. So by the era of light year, Jason wasn't the scout getting in trouble. He was the scout leading the flag ceremony. And so his mom told me, we had many conversations, she was my assistant dim leader, but couldn't help as much because a lot of her time was spent trying to wrangle in Jason. And so Jason had trouble making friends. He never really had a place where he just fit until scouting. And so we became his family. We got him, we understood him, and it gave him a purpose that he could be proud of. And so this past February, Jason crossed over to Scouts PSA. And one afternoon in July, I was outside putting the roof rack on my car, and Jason and his mom pull up into my driveway. Like, hey, Jason. And so he had just returned from his first summer camp at Woodruff. He was so giddy, had not even gone home to take a shower. He just passed by, saw I was in the driveway, and was like, Mom, stop, you gotta stop. I gotta talk to Miss Alicia. So he started talking to me a mile a minute about all of the merit badges that he earned, about all of the campfires, about the whitewater rafting trip that he went on. And he even told me, it's so funny because he and Zoe were talking, he's like, Zoe, what rank are you on? What, you haven't earned scout rank yet? Like, I'm already working on tenderfoot. I'm like, that's wonderful, Jason. So he reached in his back pocket and he handed me a bottle of root beer from Kendall Crossing, which is the historical homestead at Woodruff. And he said, I thought you'd like this, Miss Alicia. And so that moment really stopped me because 6 years earlier, I wasn't sure if scouting was the right place for Jason. But standing in my driveway that day, I knew that scouting was exactly where he was meant to be. And so watching Jason's growth, I feel, has been one of the most beautiful parts about my own scouting journey and my experience as a leader. And so that's exactly what scouting does. That's what Friends of Scouting makes possible. So we all know that scouting changes lives, but it takes resources to make it happen. So Friends of Scouting provide many different things. Training and support for volunteers and leaders, like the ones you see here in your own unit. Financial assistance so that no child misses camp. If a child can't afford to go to summer camp, which is many times the most memorable experiences of their childhood from scouting, Friends of Scouting helps to support that. Maintaining our world-class facilities and campsites up at Woodruff and Burt Adams and Aquatics Alatoona Base. And then support for Scout Reach programs. These are our programs, our units that are specifically designed for families who may not be able to afford scouting. Every single dollar that you're able to contribute stays local, and it helps Scouts right here in our community and even here in our unit. So I would like for you all to look at the pledge cards that you had obtained earlier. So it costs about $375 to provide scouting for one youth for a full year. One life-changing experience filled with leadership, character, and service. A gift of $375 sponsors one scout, and it earns you a Friends of Scouting rain jacket as a thank you. If you can sponsor two scouts, it's $750. It earns you a special edition council shoulder patch, which will be mailed to your home by council, and those shipments go out every week. If you're able to sponsor 4 scouts for $1,500, that welcomes you into the Golden Eagle Donor Society, and you'll be recognized with a custom Yeti that you can actually put in the cup holder in your car. It fits. And remember, no gift is too small or large. Every single dollar helps kids like Jason grow into the leader that they're meant to be. So every donor tonight will receive this limited edition Scouting America magnet that you can put on your car to show that you are a proud supporter of this organization. we are asking that every single person complete their pledge card. Even if you're not able to contribute, that's okay. Still fill out your name and your information, and you can just put 0 and raise your hand, and the wonderful scouts who handed you your pledge cards will come and pick them up. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and I'll fill out my own pledge card while you all fill out yours. Okay. And that's the thing. The one thing that we didn't do is have this model the scouts handing out the pledge cards and the pins. It is so important that you do that before you start the presentation, because if it happens during the presentation, it's gonna like completely interrupt the vibe. So keep that in mind as well. You're nodding your head, yes. So okay, do you have some feedback for me? Tell me some things that you saw or from your own experience. You wanna come up with, you all, I forgot to tell you we're recording. So there are a few of our district family, Friends of Scouting chairs who aren't able to attend, so we're gonna send out the recording after. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Well, you did an awesome presentation.
Thank you.
And she set an example that I think we could all stand to learn from. You'll notice when she was talking, you may not remember everything she said, but you remember her eye connections, and she was smiling the whole time. And so what you say is important, but how you say it's super important too, and you did an incredible job of setting that example for us. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've seen many presentations, and they always say it costs this much per child. Well, people might have said, well, our annual dues were $85. What do you mean it's $300 to support a kid? So it's not what's going directly to a kid, it's all the expenses divided by all the scouts. And I mean, there's just always been people say, what do they mean it costs this much per scout? I already paid my scout dues and it wasn't that much. So if you could explain that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think this may be something we have to revise in the script, but it's a know your audience thing. But as I think about this, I'm like, well, maybe that's our entire audience is wondering what you mean it costs $375 to support one scout. So we can either, okay, Charity. Yeah. Well, we have the expert here, so I'll let her.
Yeah, so as you know, scouting includes the uniform. Many kids can't afford the uniform. We provide assistance for the uniform. Scouting is about activities and going to camp. We provide discounts for them to go to camp. There's also the support of the registration systems. We pay a large amount for those registration systems that you guys use in the districts and for council events. There's fees that go with credit cards because everything is on credit cards and there's fees to that. So the cost of supporting a scout is the entire journey. It's from everything that they go through from day one. And imagine that child not having support of a unit leader that is buying the awards and all of that, right? So the PACs have their own awards that help with that, but it's the maintenance of the camps. Scout, there's all these costs that you guys can't see, all the administration's costs that go into that $375.
Okay, well, that's what I was curious. Some of it is overhead.
It is,
because
and it is this building, right? So we have this building, we pay insurance on it, our insurance has gone up. We pay for insurance so that scouts that get hurt are able to not have any out-of-pocket costs when they get hurt. So there's all of those costs. And if you guys are ever interested, our budget is open for y'all to see. Just ask your executive and we can show you where the money's going. Yeah, so yes, Scout Reach is huge in many areas where families that can't afford scouting, plus their families are working 2-3 jobs, and so we provide our a den leader, a cowmaster for them, so their salaries go to pay for that for the Scout Reach program. And Todd, like you said, there's also kids in every single unit that have a need Even if you're in a rich unit, sometimes families go through a job loss and they can't afford the fees at that moment in time. Scouting pays for those fees to help the kids stay in the program. That's what scouting's for, that's what Friends of Scouting supports.
Along that same idea, part of what I was gonna say to my group is, we need scouting now more than ever. And that by supporting the outreach and all, we're allowing other kids to have the experience of the scouting, which is just, again, we need it now more than ever. The more kids and families we can get into scouting, the better for everybody.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, to that effect also, I'm not sure if you all saw, but in the back of the room, there are these district at a glance sheets. And so Charity's printed a few for every district. So if you're, whatever district you're representing, feel free to, don't just take one, you can take quite a few of them. This is what you can share with other presenters in your district. And it shows the impact of scouting across that district. I would guess.
The numbers on here,
Yes.
particularly the Eagle, is that so far this year, or is that from last year, or what is that number from?
For last year,
Last
the Eagle Scouts for last year. And what might also, if you all are interested, to Todd's point about the Scout Reach units, it's not just even in Metro Atlanta, like many of them are embedded within our own district. So it may be good information to share, like how many Scout Reach units are within your district, because that's also where some of those funds are going. But this is a fabulous resource to show how scouting impacts each of your districts. And you can share this with your families as well. Okay. Let's see where we are. Oh, great. All right, so each of you guys got a superhero kit. This fabulous tote bag. I'm really excited about this because it has everything that you need as a presenter to take with you to your training, and you don't have to worry about like going to your district and say, oh my gosh, I need this, I need to meet up with you. You've got everything you need. You may need to meet up with them to restock, but everything is there. So you have, to start out with, 50 pledge cards, 50 pins, and Scouting America card magnets. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm cute. You also have a copy of the presentation script. And the script is fabulous, but y'all make it your own, especially if you all that have been doing this for years. Tailor it to your unit and make sure it's something that you can connect with. There's also report envelopes. Those envelopes are for you to collect the pledge cards from all of the families, and you put them into that one envelope, and that's what you'll deliver to your district executive. And then donor gift examples. So for donor, families that donate $375, they get their on-the-spot gift right then and there. And that is a fabulous rain jacket. It's like a reusable poncho. Fabulous, right? All right, so they get that there. The $750, let's go through these really quickly. Any pledge amount, of course, gets the Scouting America card magnet. And that is in your bag. Everyone should get that during the presentation. Same thing with the $375 pledge. They get their raincoat right then and there during the presentation. The $750 pledge, which is that fabulous limited edition shoulder patch, that's shipped out by council, so you can let them know that. Council is shipping them once a week, so they should get it pretty quickly. For the $1,500 pledge, they will get this fabulous Yeti. It will be personally delivered by the council staff, probably the district executive, to the donor. All right, so any questions about what is in your superhero kit or about the pledge gifts? And I can't reiterate enough, this is like, it's a pledge. So you're pledging for calendar year 2026 to contribute this amount. And they can set up recurring monthly donations. That's how I do my gift. It makes it like not feel so heavy. And so, you know, they can contribute $50. Yes.
So when they fill out the pledge card, does somebody from council contact them to tell them how to fulfill their pledge?
Yes, so, when all of those pledge cards get sent over to the district executive goes in and plugs all that information into the system, and then someone from council does reach out to them.
I should
Wait,
get an
no,
email.
hold on, I'm looking at Charity trying to get information. They get an email.
Yeah, so we put the pledges in our system, and then they will get a notification in the mail, and it's like every other month, they will get a notification. They will get one every single month unless they fill out that they want quarterly payments or at the end of the year. So when you're doing your presentation, it's really important to talk through the pledge card, walk through every piece on the pledge card. Can you see the pledge card?
Now, you said they get a mail or an email?
They'll get a mail. So on here, what's really important for you to have them do is to put their district and tell them what their district is, because most of the families don't know what that is. Make sure that they write legibly their name, address, and email. Those are really important information that we have to have. And then also talk about the company match. There are a lot of companies that match, and if they think their company is one of those, have them write that down, and then we'll contact them on how, what they need to do to make sure that they get the match. Normally, just so you guys know, the pledge has to be fulfilled, and then they can put in the match of their company. And then we can, once we get the information from their company, then we can put that pledge in. And also, many companies will match volunteer hours. This is really, really important and impactful. You might have a family, they can't afford to donate any money, but they're a leader, and they're giving lots of hours, and those hours can turn into dollars to the council. So that's really important to share with them. But then also, it has a place in here, invoice me, a check enclosed, the credit card information, and then just have them make sure that they put in there that they want to be monthly or annually, because there's a spot for that. That will help in them not getting monthly bills if they want to pay at the end of the month, or the end of the year. That answers your question.
Awesome, thank you, y'all. All right, so the last thing I want to mention to you all is the unit coordinator. I really feel like this is an underrated position. So a unit coordinator is someone who is embedded within a leader, ideally, within the unit, who helps to coordinate that Family Friends of Scouting presentation. So that unit coordinator would be the person who the district Family Friends of Scouting chair works with to get the presentation scheduled. That unit coordinator knows the unit, so they're kind of like the connector and the power-up champion. The families know them, they know their family's needs, and they can convey and relate that to the district family FOS chair. We would love to have a unit coordinator within every unit, that's the goal. Ideally, it should not be the unit leader or the committee chair. I mean, they're already overwhelmed and have so much to do. So if there's maybe a fundraising chair, or even just a parent who is really invested in the program, who wants to volunteer in some capacity and they don't have as much time, that's a really fabulous role for them, because it's really just emails and phone calls with one person, with your district Family Friends of Scouting chair. All right, so for those of you all, for our district chairs, talking with the unit commissioners could be a good way to help find some of those unit coordinators or people who could potentially be one, and talking with the leaders as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, really quickly, when do you guys think we should start scheduling these Family Friends of Scouting presentations? Yes, now. The campaign officially starts, it's from January to December 2026, but y'all, we should start now. So Annie is leaving, but she gave a fabulous recommendation during one of our previous meetings about setting up presentations with troops, ideally in December. because people get in the giving spirit during the holiday season. So it's a really great time to share your story and to really help them to contribute toward Scouting America's mission. So try to get them scheduled as quickly as possible, ideally between December and maybe February, so that we're not scrambling in the summer trying to get presentations scheduled, and so that we can start working towards our Family Friends of Scouting goals. Okay? All right, true or false? Family FOS presentation should be 15 minutes long.
False.
We didn't really talk about it. No, yes, false! They should be 5 to 8 minutes maximum. That includes the 2-minute pregnant pause, y'all. So be quick with your stories, Ellie. And it also includes the presentation and the collection of the pledge cards. So keep that in mind, especially with our cubby units, the packs, keep it in mind. All right, so what is the most important part of your presentation? Is it reading every bullet in the script, talking about popcorn, your personal scouting story, or showing all the donor gifts?
C.
See, exactly. Your personal scouting, you're the connector, you're the person who's going to have that emotional story that is going to evoke emotion with the donor. All right, wonderful. What phrase should you use when you transition to the ask? Sorry, I have to talk about money now. Okay, everybody, hide your wallets. Every gift matters. Brace yourself.
C.
Every gift matters, absolutely. All right, and then true or false, you should talk until every person fills out the pledge card.
False.
Yep, we gotta do that pregnant pause. Let your cub masters know it's okay to embrace the silence. And then a family FOS pledge must be paid immediately at the presentation.
False.
No, yep, they have until December 31st, and they choose how and when to fulfill it. So thank y'all so much for being here today. Share your story, make the ask, unite for scouting, because when heroes unite, every scout thrives. Yes, Cherry.
Thank you, Alicia. Didn't you do a great job? Can you guys give her a round of applause? I did want to share with you in your, on the page, or on the table, there's a couple of things for you. One is what's called this Vivid Share technology. This is something that I learned this year, and it's a way to put your story in a format that will be more engaging. So as you're talking to presenters, this is a way where you can help them to change their story a little bit. Because we all know there are some people that can go on and on and on and not really get to the point. So with a story, this will help them get to the point. And one of the most important things you guys can do is practice in front of a mirror. If you've not done a presentation or you're not used to doing that, just practice in front of a mirror. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and then it'll, you basically you don't have to have the full story memorized, but it will come out naturally the more that you practice. Did you have something to share with?
I was just thinking about, for the younger people, you can also use a webcam.
Wait, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Wade was saying that you can also get in front of a webcam and watch yourself, which is also a really good technique. And then there's a worksheet there where you can walk through the steps here to help you build your story. Because you probably have a really good story already, just deconstruct it in the worksheet, and then you can retell it. I will tell you on my story, I start my story with my favorite scouting story was the day I had to fire Zach. And then I pause. And then I go into what happened. So just know the first part of your speech is something that's going to catch them, right? So think of that, what's going to catch them, get their audience and get them curious of what as you go forward. So thank you, Alicia, for your time. And if there's no other questions, then we are finished.
And you guys take a picture at the superhero photo